I think the next person you know pretty well. He's with 911 Families for Secure America. He's appeared on Fox, Blue Dogs, many shows. He's spoken around the country. Mr. Peter Gadiel.
I'm going to say something that I have never said before in public, and that is, I think the tide has turned and we have begun to win. I've never wanted to say that in public before because I've never been convinced that that is the case, but that is what is happening now. Just ask somebody whose name you may recall. I have trouble remembering it myself, but his name is John McCain. I think he's learned a certain lesson.
That's right.
And he's an indication that the tide has turned, and he's on the wrong side of history.
He's done. He's done. Yeah.
There are other people who have been telling me that we're winning, and they're people from the other side. They tell me every time they have a violent demonstration. Now, it's refreshing to be here in Harrisburg and speak at a public rally where the other side is not threatening violence. We have police officers here, and they're here to protect us. Why do we need them? We need them because the history of the other side is one of violence. We saw it in Morristown, we've seen it in California, we've seen it in many places in between. And that violence is becoming more and more extreme. The other side is becoming more and more shrill. I spoke in Michigan on Monday to a group of legislators, and there were a number of illegal alien supporters on that attending the meeting. An illegal alien lawyer, one of the profiteers from the business of importing illegal aliens, an illegal alien lawyer named Richard Kessler, after I spoke, came up to me and screamed in my face. Well, I'm not accustomed to having total strangers yell in my face. I'm not accustomed to having anybody yell in my face. But I was very happy that Mr. Richard Kessler, immigration lawyer, illegal alien profiteer, did that. To me, that was one of the best indications I've had that the other side is getting desperate. Here's a man who sees that his stream of income is going to disappear.
Yeah.
Now, we've heard a couple of words about the ACLU today and the other side and how they characterize us as anti-immigrant, xenophobic, Nazi, what have you. Racist. Now, the other side pretends that they are the humanitarian force.
Yeah, right.
Don't believe them. If they believed in humanitarianism, then they wouldn't have had their representatives in New Hampshire a year and a half ago arguing against a bill to make it illegal in the state of New Hampshire to engage in human trafficking.
Right.
Evidently, the ACLU and the immigration lawyers think that human trafficking should not be outlawed in the state of New Hampshire.
Right.
The ACLU, as we know, argues and argues and argues for illegal aliens.
Yep.
They make it possible. They encourage people to cross the border, as a result of which these people are subjected to rape, gang rape, to murder, to conditions which none of us should be subjected to. If they were really humanitarians, they would be fighting to improve the conditions in Mexico and in Guatemala and elsewhere around the country where people lack freedom, and not here.
Right.
A couple of things. An indication of how vicious the other side is the invention of a new crime. They're always talking about the past of Joe McCarthy and guilt by association, and how people who were just at a couple of communist meetings were tarred as being guilty because they were there. Well, the left has come up with a new crime, a new way of describing guilt. A few weeks ago, I spoke at a rally in Morristown, New Jersey, and allegedly, there were a couple of neo-Nazis there. Now, I'm not a Nazi. My father was a Jewish immigrant from Germany, got here in 1940, was considered by the State Department as a stateless person, was subjected to very rigorous investigation by the FBI because they wanted to make sure he wasn't a German agent. And he was very pleased that they did that because he didn't want German agents here either. Well, anyway, the ACLU alleges that there was a neo-Nazi attending the rally. Well, after I spoke in Michigan last week, a little operation called Media Mouse, a spokes log for the far left, implied that I was a Nazi because there were a neo-Nazi in attendance at the Morristown rally. I thought that was very interesting. I wasn't aware of these people if they were there. And what the left has done is they've created a new crime of guilt by proximity. If there's a neo-Nazi out there, I guess that makes, as far as the left is concerned, that makes us all Nazis. Well, it's interesting that at Morristown, there were a number of people who were waving red flags and chanting communist slogans, Workers of the World Unite and other things like that. Well, I saw people from the National Organization for Women and Code Pink. I suppose that that being the case, that by the very standards of the left, guilt by proximity, now, and Code Pink, and the other groups, and probably the ACLU, are guilty of being communist organizations. That's what we're dealing with on the other side. Words mean nothing unless they can be used to slander.
Red flags are burning.
That's right. Michael Chertoff was mentioned a couple of minutes ago.
Whoa!
Michael Chertoff, the man who believes that these matricula cards should be accepted. Now, this is one in the name of my senator, Joe Lieberman. My good friend Bruce DeSalle got into Michael Chertoff's headquarters in Washington, D.C. with his matricula card. That's the kind of people we have running the show in Washington. Michael Chertoff can't even keep people with fake matricula cards out of his own headquarters in Washington.
He's a
That's
joke.
the people, those are the people that George Bush, the most incompetent, most dishonest man, maybe next to Bill Clinton, maybe next to Jimmy Carter, I don't know. This most incompetent of human beings, this most dishonest of human beings, this is the kind of person he puts in charge of our homeland security. Mr. Lieberman, Senator Lieberman, I'm waiting someday to present this to you in person. I'll leave you with two quick things. Geraldo Rivera. A few weeks ago, that man said that the crime rate among illegal aliens is lower than it is for the general population. I can only assume that he got that information when he opened that safe of Al Capone and it came out and tumbled on him. The other thing is, General Tommy Franks, who used to be the American commander in Iraq, said this: any nation that wants to can control its borders. And that's the key here. A man who knows is telling, in effect, our president, I know you don't want to control the borders. We all know you don't want to control the borders. It was asked before, what have they got on George Bush? I don't know what they have on George Bush, but I can say that certainly in his actions, every word and deed of George Bush suggests that somebody else is dictating his policies. Is it possible? Is it conceivable for a President of the United States to ignore his first duty to the people of this country and permit a foreign invasion?
Treason.
I don't know the reason. Perhaps he's bought. Perhaps he's blackmailed. Maybe he's got a problem like Larry Craig, who's now leaving office. I don't know. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know. But the fact is we have a president who's betrayed us every day since he took office, and betrayed us particularly since my son was murdered on September 11th, 2001, when this miserable president said, I hear you, America. He lied then. He's lied every single day since then. Mr. President, we know you don't want to control the borders. We just don't know why. It's time for you to go.
Yes.
Thank you very much.